Everybody ready? All right, good afternoon. Welcome to Friday afternoon's briefing from the Emergency Operations Center here in Blackhawk County. Obviously today will be a bit of a roll-up of the first week's ramp-up of this Emergency Operations Center. So you'll see on our agenda today, we've got a few more briefers. We're going to talk today a little bit about some of the concerns that we're seeing and questions that are being asked from the community. We're going to address the necessity of childcare, the importance of childcare. That's one of the important things. We're going to talk a little bit about small businesses and how we can do a better job of supporting. We've got a really interesting announcement as it pertains to the COVID-19 virus here in the Cedar Valley. And we've invited Carrie Dara with Grow Cedar Valley to talk with us a little bit about some of those things. And then also we're going to talk about continuity of government today. And so we've got both the Cedar Falls and Waterloo mayors, as well as the chairman of the Board of Supervisors here in Blackhawk County, to talk just very briefly with us today about continuity of government. So without further ado, I'm going to start, as we always do, with our incident commander and director of public health here in Blackhawk County, Dr. Nafisa Sisi Abonye.
Good afternoon, community and fellow partners. I want to start off today by expressing my sincere gratitude to our community members and local partners who are working vigorously to help mitigate the spread of COVID-19. I see young people and healthy people that are taking seriously the need to wash their hands frequently, cover their mouths when coughing and sneezing, staying at home when sick. Thank you. To the healthcare workers who are working around the clock, taking care of patients, thank you. To the child care response team who are working to provide support to families and students, thank you. These are critical services for our public health practitioners, healthcare providers, and first responders. The Northeast Iowa Food Bank and local organizations providing food to our families in need of support, we thank you. I want to thank our business partners and our local foundations for being flexible and understanding during this difficult time. Thank you. And to all our elected officials, thank you all very much for being a support to our residents. And to the Blackhawk County EOC team members and health department staff, thank you. We continue to emphasize that people should remain home when they are ill. All Iowans with fever or respiratory symptoms should remain home until you have no fever for 72 hours and your symptoms have started to improve and it has been 7 days since the start of your illness. You can also find this information on our website, blackhawkcovid19.com. I know there's a lot of information, there's a lot of rumors, and I know it's very scary, but please trust that your health department is going to provide you with the most accurate information as soon as we receive the communication. Although this is a difficult time, this is also a time to recognize our common humanity and show compassion. It is also important that we continue to come together to mitigate the spread of the disease. We need all your efforts, and we can do this, and we will overcome this pandemic. Thank you.
Now to address small businesses and our Cedar Valley business community, as well as the Community Foundation. I'm going to introduce to you Carrie Dara.
Thank you, Sheriff Thompson and Dr. Bonnier. I am Carrie Dara with Grow Cedar Valley, and on behalf of Grow Cedar Valley, we're very glad to be here with you today. Most of my comments will be directed primarily, specifically to the business community. We have many other sponsors here and messages here that will go to others throughout the community. But on behalf of the businesses, as was mentioned, our priority, our top priority, is everyone's health and well-being, but right behind that is our economic health. And so some of what I'd like to share today is on that behalf. We were informed earlier today, as I'm sure many of you already know, that Governor Reynolds has approved a bill for $4 million to provide business assistance grants, with which they will be administered through the Iowa Economic Development Authority as well as the Department of Revenue. The applications should be available next week. That we really don't have any more specificity than that. But it was just released today, and we will be sure to get all that information out to our businesses as soon as possible next week. The other thing I would advise folks is to go to the Grow Cedar Valley webpage at growcedarvalley.com and scroll to the bottom of that page, and there's a text there for COVID-19 update and resources. For the resources from local state and federal government includes the Small Business Administration, updates from the governor, steps to take for employee testing, employer unemployment insurance guidelines, local resources, information on operations and facilities, help to specific employers, and on and on. Most importantly though, shopping local and supporting our local small businesses and other assistance with new grassroots efforts that have begun, like Cedar Valley Strong, Eat, Love, Waterloo, all of that, those details and information will be found on that website, growcedarvalley.com. I've also been asked by the tourism industry to encourage businesses and organizations, as you find the need to reschedule events, to take a look at the Metro 365 calendar. And that's a comprehensive calendar throughout the metro area that keeps track of events so that you don't duplicate events, or that you know what else is going on the same night or day or evening that you might be planning one. And that website is cedarvalley365.com. So please take a look at that when scheduling and rescheduling your events. So those are some tactical things that we want to recommend to our businesses to consider. But along with that, we're also encouraging our employers to address the corporate misalignment that is created by teams working remotely. And with that, it's very important for employers to connect regularly with their teams and their staff teams, not only as a team, but individually, each member. Make sure those connections that you, reinforce to everyone that you're on the same page, the importance of the team working together, using GoToMeeting, Zoom, FaceTime, etc., whatever platform works for your organization or your business. Share and reiterate a clear direction of how the work will get done and the execution of the plan. Knowing that work will still have to get done, and it's just going to be getting done differently, is really important to reinforce. Isolation is a real problem and a real feeling and a real byproduct of this working remotely, and it'll affect people personally as well as professionally. So please practice and execute how virtual networking, both within your organization and throughout your industry, will be very important. We, Grow Cedar Valley, along with our affiliate partners, have been meeting. We will continue to meet regularly on how we can help in the recovery. We know there will be a recovery. It will affect our businesses differently. We need to stay connected and reinforce each other, and that's key. As we move through this crisis together, we'll creatively and collaboratively work to provide resources to help our businesses keep their head above water during this time and come out strong as soon as the recovery begins. As was mentioned, I was asked to make an announcement on behalf of the Community Foundation Northeast Iowa, and their partners with the funding partners. They have just released a news release that their COVID-19 Disaster Response Fund has been created by a collaboration of community funders. They've already cleared more than $200,000. That will be shared with frontline employees who are directly, nonprofits who are directly related to dealing with the COVID-19 coronavirus crisis. So that is great news. It's a great way to end the week with news from our funding partners. And you'll get more information. That news has just been released to the rest of the press too. So thank you very much.
As Dr. Ebonye mentioned, we've got some rock stars in our community, and those you would think we're talking about healthcare providers and first responders and those kinds of folks, but really it's our childcare providers and those folks that watch our children, to allow us to get out there and be those folks on the front line of fighting this pandemic, and to address some of those resources and some of those services that are available, both as resources to the community looking for those help and resources, but also resources for those providers and those rock stars that are doing that heavy lift for the community. I would like to invite Sarah Bolin from Child Care Resource and Referral up to present right now.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sarah Bolin. I'm with Exceptional Persons and Child Care Resource and Referral of Northeast Iowa. Again, I want to second the rock stars that we have. We need to thank our child care providers that are caring for children in homes and child care centers. They are essential to supporting our community and keeping our children safe. So with that said, I want to make sure that people are aware of resources. Right now we're in unknown times. We're not sure what to do, but childcare is still going on. We're getting guidance from DHS and Iowa Department of Public Health. Childcares are staying open, some are closing, but children still need care. And so I want to make sure that you're all aware of a couple things. So we have a website, a state website. It's iowaccrr.org. That's a website that has plenty of resources for parents, providers. You can go online on that to look for parent referrals. There's also a parent referral line. So in this midst of things, it's changing every day. So families might need childcare that looks different from day to day or because things change. So the parent referral line number is 1-855-244-5301. And that's a number where parents can call if they're needing childcare, and we can talk through them with some of the resources and support. And then finally, just in Waterloo, we have an office in Waterloo. I want to give that number to 319-233-0804. Again, we want to be that resource in the community relating to childcare. We have a lot of other support, and people that are coming out want to support, want to help and care for kids. We're working to try to implement some long-range plans if needed for essential staff that might need childcare, and planning with that. So we have a kind of resource team that's meeting to look at the needs and how they ever change. But again, we want to let families know that we're trying to support them with their childcare needs that change, and support kids being safe, and then also support the current childcare providers. We have a lot of centers and home providers that are still open doing care, and they need that support. So if you have more questions, just let me know. But thank you for all that those childcare providers are doing.
We'll now move on to continuity of government, and we'll start off, and the briefers will be in this order. Mayor Quentin Hart, Mayor Rob Green, and then Supervisor Chris Schwartz.
All right, thank you, Sheriff Thompson. The City of Waterloo continues to monitor the COVID-19 pandemic and is in close communication with officials here at Blackhawk County Health Department and the Emergency Operations Center. The city will continue to follow their directives, including any further required quarantines or closures. Residents can be assured that all city departments will execute their continuity of operations plans and continue to provide essential services, including police, fire rescue, water, wastewater, and trash pickup. I have issued a state of civil emergency for the City of Waterloo, and this gives me, as mayor, freedom to issue directives to protect the public and continue city operations that would ordinarily require tedious checks and balances to carry out. This proclamation is in effect for 30 days unless it becomes necessary to issue subsequent proclamations. The week of March 2nd, we had launched a comprehensive GIS-based COVID-19 hub for our city. And our community television team, as well as our IT department, have moved quickly and proactively to provide remote access for residents, board members, employees to participate in essential meetings via video live streams, conference calling, digital meeting platforms, as well as support for employees working from home. Keeping our 500 plus employees healthy is our top priority in order to maintain services to our residents. Our department heads have been given latitude to allow employees who can to work from home. Our HR department is facilitating smooth transitions to unemployment for any employee who is at risk or unwell during this crisis. All City of Waterloo public buildings are to be closed to the general public with limited access to vendors, deliveries, and contractors. Many deadlines have been extended and some fees have been waived, but please make sure your regular payments to the city and all creditors. If you are unable to make a payment on time, call and make arrangements, and do not assume late fees or other penalties may be waived. Again, call and make arrangements with your creditors if you cannot make any types of payments on time. Many city services are available over the phone, by mail, or online through the city website, and that's cityofwaterlooiowa.com. Many departments have installed lot drop boxes in their entryways. And in order to keep our economy moving, our engineering, planning, and zoning department and building permitting desk remains open on the second floor of City Hall. But you will notice a distinct difference with plexiglass that has been installed for everyone's protection. And of course, this crisis is impacting businesses in Waterloo and the Cedar Valley. And I have been reaching out to our business community across the entire city. And at the Crossroads Mall right now, it continues to remain open. And I echo the statements of Jessica Rucker, our Main Street director, in that we encourage everyone to support the restaurant industry and retailers by continuing your patronage through takeout orders, shopping online locally. And now is a great time to show your appreciation to those who have no choice but to go work with a gift card, food, or other gifts from local businesses. And our Main Street Waterloo is keeping a list of closings on their website and coordinating the Iowa Love and Cedar Valley Strong initiatives to support small businesses. The website is www.mainstreetwaterloo.org. And to support small business, the city is limiting parking enforcement and the issuance of citations in our downtown area. And experienced Waterloo Director Tavis Hall reports that the travel industry is being impacted as well. But the hotel industry locally has seen a significant drop in occupancy, but people are still making huge investments into staying open because they believe in the resiliency and spirit of Waterloo, Cedar Falls, and the Cedar Valley. And I believe that Dr. King said it best: the ultimate measure of a man or woman, or the ultimate measure of a community, is not where they stand in times of comfort and convenience, but where they stand in times of trials and challenge. And as mayor and as a lifelong resident of Waterloo, I want everyone to know how incredibly proud I am of the professionalism, compassion, and cooperation I see happening around me. And Main Street Waterloo is keeping that list of closings on their websites and coordinating the Iowa Love and Cedar Valley Strong initiatives to support our small businesses. And yes, our economy will recover from the virus. And yes, a lot of our people will get better. But please, please continue using sanitation and social distancing as prescribed, if not for your sake, but the sake of others. And we will continue to push out information on a daily basis to collaborate with state, county, and other institutions to provide services in the midst of and following this emergency. With your continued cooperation, we can limit the impact of this virus right here in the home in our Cedar Valley. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Hart and Sheriff Thompson. I'm Mayor Rob Green of the City of Cedar Falls. I can say, excuse me, the City of Cedar Falls has been responsive to this crisis through our building closures and through enforcement of the governor's mandates regarding restaurants, bars, fitness centers, and related facilities. City staff remains on the job, sometimes remotely, and is committed to providing the essential services expected of the city, especially in this time of emergency. Today at 4 p.m., the City Council will have the first of several special meetings to be carried out electronically. On our agenda today is a potential measure to help our small businesses respond to this crisis. We're leaning forward on electronic meetings via phone and video conferencing in order to limit the exposure of staff and council members to COVID-19 for the sake of continuity of government. But be assured we're just as accessible as before, and our goal is to provide the same level of service that you expect of us, particularly for essential services. I'll note that our city parks are open, but playground equipment is closed. The Place to Play playground in Green Hill Village is also closed for the time being to protect our children from exposure to the coronavirus and passing it on to their elders. You can learn more about the city's response as well as resources at cedarfalls.com/prepare. And I'll also note that the city is providing a range of options for the public through online services to help alleviate some of the gap that we have for our children, particularly the library, the Hearst Center, and elsewhere, to stay engaged with our community. And we're certainly looking for ideas for what you'd like to see from us in the weeks ahead, and especially as we have to become even more creative in the future. So thank you for your time, and I'll turn it back over just to Ms. Schwartz.
Thank you, Mayor Green. Chris Schwartz, Blackhawk County Supervisor. We made the decision earlier this week to close all county offices and buildings to the public and send non-essential staff home on administrative paid leave. There are some staff that are working from home, but essential staff is still reporting for duty, so we can carry on the critical functions of county government. There are still many services that are available to the public, both online, by mail, and by phone. You can find all that necessary contact information by visiting our website, which is www.co.black-hawk.ia.us.com. I know that is a mouthful, so if you just type Blackhawk County into your search engine, you will come across our website. All of our county parks remain open during the day, with the exception of Blackhawk Park, which is currently closed due to seasonal flooding. Because those parks are only open for daytime use and no overnight stays, no cabin rentals at this time. We have particular importance to me has always been how we treat the most vulnerable citizens in our community, and so we have taken the steps to. We have a plan in place for how to address should any members of the homeless population either become test positive for COVID-19 or need to be under a quarantine related to COVID-19. And so those folks will be directed to our General Assistance Manager at Blackhawk County, who is now equipped to place them immediately. The first choice will be into efficiency apartments. If that is not available in a timely manner that makes sense on a case-by-case basis, we have worked out massively discounted rates that we'll be able to afford and pay for from the county to place them into hotels, so that we're not simply sending the homeless population out to fend for themselves. This is an effort to both maintain the safety at the number of shelters that exist in the community, which are all engaging in social distancing practices to the best they can, and this will allow them to safely continue their operations while not putting anybody out on the streets when they most need us. Thank you.
Now has become, as what has become our tradition here in these briefings, and probably one of the most important parts of what we do, we open ourselves up to your questions and make ourselves available to answer. Yes?
Yeah, this question is for Rob. Governor Reynolds today said that as part of her recent declaration, she was suspending city elections to fill vacancies. Does that affect your election?
I need to work with Grant Veeder on that at the auditor's office and be able to provide more information then.
Thank you.
This next one is for Dr. Abonye. We get a lot of messages in regards to the positive test case in Blackhawk County. We know that HIPAA only protects identifiable information. There's a lot of people out there voicing their concern. They want to know what town this person's from. Not exactly the address, but is it possible to get a town of this?
Blackhawk County.
As of today, the governor noted that there were 620 tests, so that's up from yesterday's 400 tests. Does this increase the amount of tests that we're able to give people here? Are they under the same guidelines, basically, to keep those tests,
We are
from
still
running out?
under the guidelines provided by the Iowa Department of Public Health.
This question might be for Tony. Governor Reynolds said that she was going to give a daily press conference at 2:30 starting today. Would that affect the timing of your press conference? I know we're sort of in a little of an overlap situation.
So we pay attention. I kind of joked this morning that yesterday she held hers back until 3:30 because she doesn't want to conflict with mine. So 2:30. We'll pay attention to that. We chose 3 o'clock and we've been very consistent with that, but we'll definitely talk with our EOC partners and determine. We try not to be terribly long-winded. We try not to keep you too terribly long. We would encourage her to try not to be terribly long-winded either, but we'll see how that goes. If there ends up being considerable overlap and concern, we do pay attention to what she's saying because, again, we're forced to react to what the state is doing as well. And so when she chose to push hers back yesterday, we wanted to be done to be able to pay attention to what she was saying as well. So we're cognizant of what the state is doing, both IDPH as well as what the governor's office is putting out as well. So, and oftentimes that causes us to have to scramble because she'll say something one day and then change it the next. But it's something we're cognizant of and we'll pay attention to. We've tried to build your muscle memory just a little bit to say, hey, 3 o'clock, they know we're going to be saying something. And I did forecast, I think yesterday, because we're not going to be running the EOC over the weekend unless something significant occurs, which we'll let you know. We are kind of reserving the opportunity for that 11 a.m. optional press briefing because we do anticipate, number one, digesting quite a little bit of data, 48 hours worth of additional information, and the possibility that the landscape is again going to shift underneath us over the weekend. So be prepared and be aware that there may be a press release going out Monday morning that says, hey, guess what? We are going to go ahead and use that 11 a.m. Press briefing, which may make that 3 p.m., which you've got the briefers set up are aware of who we've got lined up. That will continue to be that time frame, and we'll let you know once a decision's made if we want to bump that back to 3:30 or something. But that's certainly on the table for discussion. Denny.
Yes, as spring breakers return to the community, obviously they need to be informed about what is happening here in Blackhawk County as well. What advice would you give to people that are kind of returning to our communities from spring break, as well as, maybe the panic issue as we see other states kind of taking away other freedoms from their residents?
Sure. Again, we're paying attention to what other states are doing. I think it was Illinois that just took some pretty dramatic action as well. We are attacking this from a very community-centric perspective. And one of the important things, as you know, you've got neighbors and friends and families coming back from their trips and they're maybe self-quarantining. They're going to get, and I would think that they probably are already pretty well dialed in that, things are going on and things are occurring, but certainly help educate the status of where we are here in Blackhawk County and treat it as that communal response, community-oriented response. But to the degree that we can help ramp people up, we've got tons of resources. That blackhawkcovid19.com is an enormous resource. It's a real-time resource. It's something that we're very, very prideful of because of the ability to put that real-time information and that data in front of them right away. And it's well gleaned information. It's information where we've weeded out all of that WHO information and all that extraneous stuff, and we've narrowed it down to specifically Iowa and specifically Blackhawk County data. So it's a great resource, and you've heard several resources today. So we do rely on our press and media partners to make sure that you're doing a good job and a responsible job of not extraneously adding to that. Well, in Italy today, it's nice to know information, but man, let's talk about stuff that's happening right here, right now, and affecting the homeland and certainly the heartland, the stuff that's right in front of us. So those would be the things that I would put right on our plate right here today. And again, we'll pay attention to what the governor's office and what IDPH is doing so that we can help better educate and pay attention. And if we need to open the EOC and have a press briefing over the weekend to better address it, that's on the table, and we're ready to do that as well. So, yes, ma'am.
Will the medical directors be coming back next week?
Certainly, as is needed, absolutely. Yep.
And then I had a question for Dr. Bonnet. As far as the person who was diagnosed and you go through your disease investigation and you find the people that that person might have been around and presumably those people are tested, is that the correct way to go about it? Now that it's been a few days, those tests usually take, what, maybe 24 hours, 48 hours at the max to turn around. Are we to assume that this person hasn't infected anyone else?
You're not to assume anything.
Can you tell us anything about how that investigation has been going, if everyone around that person has been able to be tested?
No, I cannot.
This next one's for Mayor Hart and Mayor Green when he gets back. But you mentioned that so many city employees have also been sent home, and for those, you know, I don't know, has the city laid off anybody, and if they have, are there provisions in place to kind of help them through this time?
So that, all those things are being worked out through our Human Resources office. We've had some part-time employees and some that may be seeking some unemployment, but right now this is still a work in progress. I think we've done this within the last couple days, but our department heads have full latitude to determine if someone can work from home. Or also one thing that we're very serious about is making sure vulnerable populations, those that maybe expectant mothers or those with upper respiratory problems that may seem vulnerable to what the information that we received from Dr. Bonnier and the Iowa Department of Public Health. So right now we're only about 2 days into it, and our Human Resources Department has been working to put some things in place.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Mayor Green is not gonna be able to answer that question because he, as he mentioned, he's got a 4 o'clock council meeting, and so he's on his way back to Cedar Falls for the council meeting. Any other questions for us today? Yes,
Just, is the county doing anything about the PPE situation, that's personal protective equipment, any sort of county level coordination going on with that?
So all of the need for PPE is run through emergency management through our EOC. And we've been both asking for forecasting needs as well as forecasting those needs up through the Department of Homeland Security, through the state. And we've been communicating with those forecasted needs and have been, I guess, notified that we're making arrangements for the first drop-off within the next 48 to 72 hours. And so...
Is that a
not only
drop-off
are-
that would be coming to us?
To us, yeah, to us. And so we're not exactly sure what all's coming on that first drop-off, but we're working with our EOC partners to both navigate the drop-off itself and then coordinate the distribution once it arrives through those partners.
Are there any critical needs right now? Any specific, if we need more masks or more eye protection? No.
The answer is yes. Not that we're at critical levels for any of that, but certainly we want to be well prepared. We want to be well stocked. And so everybody is already forecasting, hey, it'd be nice to have another 1,000 masks. It'd be nice to have another 1,000 gloves. It'd be nice to have. And so that's really, I think, where we're at. I don't know that anybody, well, I shouldn't say that. There's a few people that have said we are at critical levels, but their critical levels are also minimized by the amount of interface that they have with the public or that they have with the types of people that would be at risk. So we're comfortable where we're at, but we're certainly continuing to be proactive in our forecasting and with both arranging for purchase as well as arranging for requests for national stocks and things like that. So, yeah. Anything else?
One final one for Dr. Abonye, and since we don't know where this person is, and we know that there's been contact with the people that they may have come in contact with, how fast is the Public Health Department able to get in contact with individuals who may have come in contact in order to slow any potential spread?
So this is a very good question, and I think this is one of the things about our field that people should know. Public health tends to be an invisible field, and a lot of times people don't see what we do behind the scenes because there isn't pandemics, but there's many outbreaks that are always happening, and we're always responsible to do those disease investigation. So take it, no news is good news.
All right, Colin, good? Barring any other questions, this will be the end of briefing for today and a conclusion of the EOC operations for this first kind of ramp-up week. We will reopen Monday morning at 7 a.m. unless there's something significant that occurs, and we've talked about some of those trip hammers that will cause us. Rest assured that if we contact you that we are reopening the EOC, it's for something significant. And we will make arrangements for a press briefing as a result of that over the weekend. Otherwise, we reserve the right to call you in at 11 o'clock on Monday, but that 1500 press briefing will go on as regularly scheduled with the tentative speakers that we've arranged for you, or briefers that we've arranged for you. Other than that, this concludes today's briefing. Thank you so much for being here.